Looks like we're getting very close to the shutdown. We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon. Thank you very much.
The U.S. government shutdown that has dragged on for over a month may finally be coming to an end. On November 10th, the Senate took the first step to reopen the government, advancing a package of compromise legislation with a 60-40 vote. Moderate Democrats agreed to move forward, even without a guaranteed extension of healthcare subsidies, a move that angered many in their caucus. A trio of former governors, Senators Jeanne Shaheen and Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire, along with independent Angus King of Maine, broke the 6-week stalemate. In exchange for supporting government funding bills, they secured a mid-December vote on healthcare tax credits. Democrats had previously rejected reopening the government 14 times, insisting that the Affordable Care Act tax credits, which help make health coverage more affordable, be extended. While Republicans maintained they would not negotiate on health care, GOP leaders were quietly coordinating with moderate senators as a potential agreement started to take shape. 5 Democrats switched their votes to advance the deal. King, Cortez Masto, and Fetterman had already been voting to open the government since October 1. Several Republican holdouts eventually joined after speaking with party leaders and President Trump, delivering the crucial 60th vote. The agreement includes funding key federal programs like food aid, veterans services, and the legislative branch, extending overall government funding until late January, reversing recent mass firings of federal workers and guaranteeing back pay, protecting federal employees from layoffs through January. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer voted against moving forward, saying Democrats will continue fighting for health care. Independent Senator Bernie Sanders called the move a horrific mistake. Meanwhile, House Democrats slammed the deal, saying it's a betrayal without real action on lowering health care costs. As the shutdown is on the verge of ending, the 40-day halt in government functioning has caused massive disruptions. Over 2,000 flight cancellations on Sunday, with more than 7,000 delays. Millions of Americans are delayed in receiving food assistance. Federal workers remain unpaid, forcing food banks to increase services nearly 20%. With a Senate vote, the government could reopen soon, but questions remain. Will the Affordable Care Act tax credits be extended when lawmakers return to the negotiating table in December?
It advances 3 bipartisan funding bills for agriculture and FDA, for military construction and Veterans Affairs, and for the legislative branch. It restores a real bipartisan appropriations budget process. Republicans control the White House, the Senate, and the House, and they made clear over a period of weeks, including just this week, that this was as far as they would go as part of the shutdown talks. This was the only deal on the table. It was our best chance to reopen the government and immediately begin negotiations to extend the ACA tax credits that tens of millions of Americans rely on to keep costs down. Now, for me in New Hampshire, not only will it mean that 42 million Americans, including 75,000 in my state, will be able to keep food on the table, 29,000 Granite State families will be able to heat their homes this winter, 19,000 federal workers in New Hampshire, including more than 3,000 at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, will finally get paid. Now, I understand that not all of my Democratic colleagues are satisfied with this agreement, but waiting another week or another month wouldn't deliver a better outcome. It would only mean more harm for families in New Hampshire and all across the country. And this is only the first step. So let me be clear. No one in the Senate chamber wants to extend the ACA tax credits more than I do. I introduced that legislation in 2019. I fought successfully to pass it in 2021 and 2023, and I am 100% committed to getting this done. President Trump, Speaker Johnson, and Leader Thune, along with many rank-and-file Republicans, say they want to keep health care premiums at their current rate. With the government reopened, we must move quickly to deliver on that promise and to keep health care premiums affordable. The American people are counting on us to get this done. Senator King.
Thank you. I want to emphasize what Senator Shaheen just said. Those of us here and those of us certainly participating in the Democratic caucus are 100% committed to working on the issue of the ACA premium tax credits and preserving access to health care for millions of Americans. The question before us is how's the best way to get there? And it was our judgment after 6 weeks, going on 7 weeks of this shutdown, that path wasn't working. The test was last week when the majority leader put forward a proposal that was pretty simple, straightforward, 1-year extension of the tax credits. It was met with universal opposition in the Republican caucus. It wasn't going to happen. So the question before us, before those of us here who decided to vote yes tonight, the question was, does the shutdown further the goal of achieving some needed support for the extension of the tax credits? Our judgment was that it would not produce that result. And the evidence for that is almost 7 weeks of fruitless attempts to make that happen. Would it change in a week or another week or after Thanksgiving or Christmas? And there's no evidence that it would. What there is evidence of is the harm that the shutdown is doing to the country. What it's doing to millions of federal workers, but also what it's doing to tens of millions of recipients of SNAP. This is a true crisis for those individuals. Soup kitchens can't fill the gap. Food pantries can't fill the gap. SNAP is an essential part of the food food provision program in this country. And so we were faced with a strategy or a series of steps that wasn't working to achieve the goal we wanted with regard to the ACA, but it was at the same time creating hardship and difficulty for millions of people across this country. So I believe that we are closer tonight to a vote on the ACA tax credits than we were this morning. Because part of this agreement, and you heard the majority leader on the floor today say he is committed to putting a bill on the floor before the second week in December that would be drafted by the Democrats concerning health care and the ACA. That is a big step because otherwise there's no way for the minority to get a bill onto the floor of the U.S. Senate. It has to be through the office of the majority leader. So that was a major step to get the majority leader to agree to make that commitment tonight on the Senate floor. So the sum is we are closer to the possibility of work on the ACA tax credits for the people of this country than we were yesterday and than we were a week ago, 2 weeks ago, or a month ago. So this agreement tonight is a win for the American people.